Well, I'm Alan Dale from Gale Force Winds. What an absolute pleasure it is to be here at the Atlantic Canadian Aerospace and Defence Association's Maritime, Arctic Safety and Security 2025 show. Great event, great collaboration, a lot of conversation between government, industry, academia, community largely. Everybody knows that this is indeed the gateway to the Arctic right here in Atlantic Canada, and so happy to be in the conversation. Thank you to our good friends at Ship Stop Air for bringing this entire conversation alive through their sponsorship. I like meeting these folks one by one, but the next guy is a good mate of mine from the Navy, and it's been a while since we've had a great chat. Guy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right. Good morning. I think it's still morning. No, it's afternoon.
Afternoon now.
So nice to see you again, Al. I'm Captain Navy Guillaume Côté. I'm the Director of Naval Major Crown Projects for the Navy on the non-combatant side. So it looks fancy. It sounds fancy. But what I do is basically oversee the implementation of the projects in the case of the Arctic Offshore Patrol ships, the Joint Support Ship in Vancouver, and then basically I oversee the execution of the contract for the IOR, Asterix, providing fueling services for the Navy.
So you're not too busy then, I was just joking with you. What a complex set of responsibilities you have. Are you having a good show here at MAS? Are you making some good connections?
Absolutely. And it is so interesting to actually meet all these people that have a particular solution to sometimes a problem that we knew we had, but basically we didn't think that was a solution. Infrastructure is a massive, massive endeavor for the Navy. We have so many ships coming, if the promise being fulfilled, that basically we will have to migrate out. We need real estate. We need to move full capability, not just actually moving for a jetty space, but basically we have Arctic Offshore Patrol ships, AOPVs, the GSS, the tankers. We will have the River-class destroyers coming down the line. And now, there's strong discussion for the Continental Defense Corvette. There's the Magic 12 for every single one of them, except the destroyers for 15. We need the real estate. Halifax, with these much bigger ships, with this requirement for ammunition, training, and basically accommodation for personnel, because basically when we're moving capability and when we're having new ships, we're bringing sailors. Right. And sailors come with kids, family, basically a training requirement. Oh, submarines. That's the new one. That's the one that is actually very interesting right now. Not one on my portfolio, but basically having all these contacts here in Newfoundland. Newfoundland's got the real estate. Newfoundland's got the deep water ports, the initiatives, and the desire, the workforce to be able to do all this work. So, yes, making great connections. I have zero authority to actually engage in a contract, but basically collecting the information and seeing what is possible, sharing that with our leadership. What are the possibilities? Then basically that's you're an ideas guy. Yeah. You know that basically once you plant an idea, eventually it might die right there, or it will grow. And then basically it's capturing this.
Captain, I watched you interact with the industry folks here. Your willingness to share exactly what you shared, your openness to have a conversation, that's incredible, right? I mean, this is exactly what industry is hoping from their Navy, is to enter into that dialogue. You must be getting a great reception from the folks when you're starting to talk.
Well, yes. And actually, I get engaged basically every time I turn around. I don't know how many times we've tried to do this interview, and then basically every time somebody stops me to ask me a question. This comes with experience. This comes from analyzing some of the challenges we've had all the time. Industry comes in and they have their own set of challenges and they're trying to get in business with us. The strategic environment for industry and Canadian industry is perfect right now. The great desire to actually buy, build, employ in Canada is perfect for them. Now we just need to find the tools to actually bring them in. And that's a whole lot of discussions that I'm having with different companies who are holding parts of the solution for some of the challenges we have for all these platforms. And then basically just saying, I can put you in contact with somebody. I don't have a checkbook. I don't have the final pen on any of this, but I will put you in contact with who might actually be able to do this. And once again, once the central government, once the central authority has the ability to know what is possible out there, that's when actually we move forward. So this is exciting.
Captain, you commanded the Harry de Wolf, an Arctic offshore patrol ship. You've been to the Arctic. Tell me about that experience.
Basically, I've been in the Navy for 35 years now. I was never sure that I wanted to be in command. Once I was in command, I didn't want to get off the ship. I had been a project director for basically the Harry de Wolf class ships. I knew every single challenges and problems that are with the platform, and that's what you deal with day in, day out for 4 years. I got on board, and because of COVID, I had not been on board while the ship was outfitted, ready to go. So I got on board, I walked on board, and I said, well, you know what? I thought I knew everything. And this looks so much different than what I had envisioned. Get to my cabin, and of course, there's your name on a plaque, and you go, well, okay, I guess I'm the boss now. It was the best 18 months because I did plead for the Navy to leave me in Halifax a little bit longer. But I had told myself that I want an operational deployment, take a ship from basically the beginning, do the operational deployment. That was in Nanook. And what I really want to do is actually do a Great Lakes tour.
Right.
I had done so many Great Lakes for frigates, driving for somebody else, engaging with my family, with basically, and it was easy. I was the French speaker. So engaging with the public. And I said, well, what I really want to do is take my own ship, the one I'm in command. And of course, Harry de Wolf class had been modified, designed to actually fit in the locks. So basically, it makes sense. And at the same time, Admiral Topshee had kind of promised something that basically the relationship of the Canadian Armed Forces with the CFL is very alive. And funny enough, basically, finally, you have two waterfront cities. You take the Grey Cup from the last winter, Toronto, and then going to where the game is going to be in Hamilton. HMCS Ida's in Hamilton. Harry de Wolf was basically the CEO of Hamilton, the naval hero. And the story writes itself. HMCS Harry de Wolf going to Hamilton, delivering the Grey Cup. I said, well, it can't get much better than that. So that was my time on Harry de Wolf. Going to the Arctic was such an eye-opener. We all have images of what the Arctic will be, and most of the time it's basically we take it from films that are actually having the snow plains, and then basically everything is white and it's windy and it's cold. And I got to Iqaluit, and basically there was no snow. It was mostly gray, and basically there you go. You go to anchor. You get these massive tides, interesting weather patterns. Basically at that point, it was like everybody was on a journey of discovery. Engaging with the local population was so enriching, I guess. In standard Southern culture, when they told me that I would go and meet the elders. And my bad, I was expecting a whole bunch of old men. And basically I walked into the Legion building, which is the most modern building that they have in Iqaluit, and basically it's fantastic. And we're having breakfast with the elders. And then basically I'm the one moving forward with my coxswain. like a wonderful individual, a firecracker of a military person, lots of experience. And then basically there with my coxswain and my operations officer. So got in there, started shaking hands with every single old man that was there, and then basically, and at some point, one of the organizers came over and said, "Okay, at what point are you going to meet the elders?" I thought that's what I was doing, and they said, "No, they're all there at that table." And then basically, it is a matriarchal society. And then basically all the ladies were there. And I think that they were not getting a little bit annoyed that they had yet to see me. So at that point, okay, how do I engage them, everything? So the ceremony starts, the event starts. Of course, they give me a microphone, and basically, as usual, I come up with something nice to say, and all the ladies are eating their breakfast, and then basically don't seem super engaged. And then I said, okay, I'm here with Air the Wolf, and then basically they're always a little bit suspicious. And I said, well, with my coxswain, Christine, my coxswain, and then basically she does the discipline, and she organizes the ship and the crew, and then basically she keeps them in line. And at that point, all the ladies were.
That makes sense.
No, it's a good thing. That's why it's a well-run ship. So it was like that. That was the first interaction. It was like that for everything. People always smiling, wanting to engage. Basically, local leaders asking us, and deservingly so, saying, like basically, why are you here? And then basically, okay, I'm here to do a patrol. I'm here to do a few things. It's like, okay, are you going to be here next year? Not sure. So, and that was the cultural moment where, this is a very open society, and basically struggling all the time. Like they don't have all the commodities that we have, and that's why they have to actually have a political system that is focused, that is enduring, so that they actually keep track. But at the same time, they are willing to trust. But at the same time, they're very careful about trusting. The things that we have done to these people is sad. The worst part is that basically only now we are educating people this out with what has occurred and how it has occurred. I went there, and basically, thank God, one of my RCMP officers on board as a writer was an Inuit person, very good communicator, and then basically she presented the reality to sailors. So truth and reconciliation, basically, I personally embrace it, and it's a good thing that we're embracing it, but basically it has to start with truth. We have to know actually what has occurred. They have no reason to actually kind of be happy about us. They trust the RCMP, and now we have to get into the trusting relationship with the people in the north. But that was one of my best deployments in a lifetime, not just because I was in command, but basically every moment was fun. It would have been more fun, and my sailors complained that we were not getting benefits, but the more money would have been fun. At some point during that deployment, because the fires in Yellowknife occurred, there was a major exercise, and then I had 2 weeks. I asked the crew, where you want to go? And they said, we want to go as far north as we can. I said, okay, surprise, surprise, I have no communication with the headquarters. So when we leave the Northwest Passage, we're going to actually turn left. And then we tried to go as far north as possible. My goal, I had embarked Tim Hortons cups. I said, if we can make it all the way to Alert, we will disembark, have a picture with the people in Alert, post that on media and say, the little caption, some people in these pictures are making benefits, some people are not. Guess which group? And then, of course, I was reminded that basically this is the kind of statement that is not helpful. But there were so many great moments. And then we finished the deployment, coming back here, enjoying St. John's. I had been in St. John's so many times, and basically I get to get my officers to discover, like basically institution like the Crow's Nest. In standard, younger person, like, okay, you're going to bring us to see old stuff. And it's like, okay, well, no, I believe that everybody needs to see that once in their life. They went in reluctantly. They chose not to have a mess dinner in Crow's Nest, but they got there and said, well, sir, that was one of our best experience being deployed. So, like, from start to finish, like, basically, my time on Air DeWolf achieved everything I had ever dreamed of doing in command, and it was the perfect sunset to my sailing days. Anybody watching, I am always available to go back to sea. So that's the message for Amo Topsy. I can go to sea anytime. I'll ask my wife; she'll agree. So, but yeah, thanks, Al.
Captain, I want to tell you that's a beautiful story. Thank you for telling us all about that. And folks, this is what true leadership and passion looks like in the Canadian Navy. And I can't thank you enough for being on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Al.